Morning. Hi, everybody. How's everyone doing? Oh, how's everyone feeling this lovely, lovely morning? Your favorite cup? Which one? The kitty one or the octopus one? They're both good, obviously, but just different. Good, but different. Oh no, still, Becca? Really? Ah, that sucks. Sucks. Let's make coffee. What's everyone drinking this morning? Oh yeah, the aquarium one's great. You could probably get it. It's pretty close to where you live, the aquarium. I bet they still have it. It was actually it was about a year ago now that it got you. Oh no, Becca. I'm also a big Ursula fan, BT dubs, but that shouldn't come as a surprise being as that I'm a mermaid. Or I guess I'm an Ursula unfan. Ooh. Morning, Liz. How's your dancing, boy? I guess maybe they do have new cups a year later, but I don't know. They might have it there. I guess if I put a pod in, that would probably help with getting the coffee made, huh? Seems logical. Hey, Anya. He's a bundle of energy today. Yes. Lauren, I don't know that this is the right resource for that. Let's see. Let's get some coffee. What's everyone else drinking this morning? My hair is wild. It's like out of control. It's a rainy day. It's not raining here yet, but I guess it could soon. I guess it could. It's cold for you. Well, you're in Canada, so you know. Why is the coffee thing so loud, do we think? Just because it wants to be. Oh, okay, so I finished that book. It was insane. Absolute insanity, that book. Like, actually, one of the most unhinged things I've ever read in my entire life. I'm finished with it, and even so, I'm still in shock. You know? Oh, really, Julia? In April? That's weird. Morning, Amanda. Is anyone besides Amanda in here going through the journey with me? Amanda, I finished the book this morning. I'm in pure shock. It's below 32 in the US. Really? Oh. It's evening for you. Yeah. Time zones are whack. You know, you're starting it today. Okay, Anya, message me with anyone who's reading the book that I was talking about yesterday, just for the complete lulz. Please message me as you go along because I want to experience this with you. I really do. It's chilly here too, little one of us. Bro, where are you in it, Amanda? Because, like, tell me it's not one of the most wild things you've ever read already. Amanda, you read my book, right? Okay, here's the thing that I found out about this book. First of all, it takes place in almost... Yes, I have. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. Rosie, I took Zoe there with my sister one. So, the book that I just finished this morning, that I was talking about yesterday, takes place in almost the same place as my book does. There's city council stuff just like my book. There's a bookstore just like my book. So I thought, you know, surely I would be able to understand this book. I was so wrong. So wrong. It's among. Oh yeah, Anya, you might be able to get to there soon. You'll be close to it soon. It's in South Orange County, like pretty far South Orange County. It's really cute though. My sister's bridal shower. Oh, it's a perfect place for a bridal shower. It's so cute. If I were to have one. Wait, how did you get that far already? Wait, Amanda, how did you get that far into it so fast? I only got to that part today. I know exactly what you're talking about, but isn't that at like 75% in? You are so fast. Oh my God. But okay, so I took some screenshots of different parts of this book, but like okay. Jen's not here right now. I wish we had her here because Jen lives in the area where this author lives, and I guess they like have mutual high school friends or something. And so apparently it's a real person, but Jen is here. Okay, so Jen is here. Jen and I were talking about this yesterday, and Jen, I did take some screenshots for you like I promised I would. I just like it's hard when it's on a Kindle, I had to take pictures with my phone, so like I'm gonna have to figure out a way to send them to you because like, whatever, it doesn't matter. That's not the point. The point is, she was telling me yesterday how you need to see where it was going. I don't blame you, but like she was telling me yesterday how she like knows people who knows this person or whatever like that, which is totally fine. Like, okay, but I was convinced that this was not a real person because of the writing. Like, there was a part today, like this, I don't even want to say it because it sounds like it's a spoiler, but it's also not a spoiler, but I guess most of you probably aren't going to read it anyway. But like, there was a moment in the, that's what I'm saying, Amanda. That's what I'm saying. There was a moment in this book, the part I was reading today, around like 75 or 80%, where the girl literally says to the male main character, she says, "Who are you?" And he says, "What do you mean?" And she says, "You know what I mean." And he says, "Besides a straight, white, cisgender man, neurodiverse, like whatever," and like goes through a list of quality. Like it was, I was like, what? I mean, it was the most bizarre thing. I was like, no one talks like that. And I read a review that really like brought it home for me, but then knowing what Jen knows, it kind of turned, I'm like, I don't know. But there's a review that said like, this is like somebody tried to study leftist book reading women and from the right and tried to write what they think we want, but it's so bad. Like, it's so bad. I was like, what is happening? And there's no resolution or understand, like it all comes out of the blue. It's so bizarre. It's very strange to me. Like, I just really don't understand it. I'm telling LA people are saying these things. There are 5 books in the series. Yeah. It's so strange to me, you guys. Like, I just don't understand it. Well, like a mansplainer, sure, but also just like I don't know. It's like this weird thing where like I honestly have no words for how to explain it. Yeah, like how are there 5 more? Who's buying these books? Like how is it continuing? How what is happening? Like what is happening? This writer has apparently written like 73 books, and when Secret Fiance looked that up and told me that, I was like, I've done my life wrong. Like, what have I done wrong with my life that like she's published 73 books? And I'm not trying to be mean, but like, let's be real for a moment. I think it's AI. Like, because if it's not a guy writing as a woman, then it's definitely AI. That's what Secret Fiance told me. He looked her up because I was complaining too much.
Or no, I told you, he went down a rabbit hole of like reading about it because he was like, what are you reading? And I tried to explain it and he was like, that makes no sense. I was like, no kidding, huh? Yeah. It's so weird, you guys. Like, okay. Okay, does anyone, you know what, I'll wait until Amanda's done and then on Monday we can talk about it because I don't want to give any spoilers until Amanda finishes. But like, it's the most baffling book. I've never been more confused in my life reading a book. Like, I just don't understand it. That's all I'm going to say. So anyway, enough of that. How's everyone doing this morning other than strep throaty and dancy? Everyone good? Everyone feeling solid? I have the hiccups. Ghostwriter, a robot. I mean, right? I'm getting a stupid cold. No, you got a cinnamon roll? There's cinnamon roll flavor in my coffee. Does that count? You're a little sad. Don't be sad. I love you. I guess that doesn't preclude sadness. You know? It counts? Okay, great. Good minus all the rain. Yeah. I'm late. I'm late for a very important date. No time to say it's book club. Tired but good cat's being a jerk all night. Oh. There's a cat in the book I was talking about. His name is Kevin Costner. That's true. That part was funny. That part made me laugh. That there's a cat named Kevin Costner. I don't know why that made me laugh. I just realized it's two authors. I wonder if the known one just let the other one write, but let her use her name. But like, why would you do that, Jen? Why would you do that? You know? Oh my God. What a risk. Hey, Des. Me too, Becca. That's what I'm saying. Too risky. Like, okay, if any of you want to write a book, like I love the concept of co-writing a book. I think that's super cool, and it's something that my friend Autumn and I used to do when we were younger. We used to like co-write stories and stuff. So I'm totally on board with that. If anyone wants to co-write something, let's do it. But I would read it before putting my name on it, and if it was bad and I really wanted to like publish something with my friend and didn't want to hurt their feelings, I'd use a fake name. The second author has that STEM publication mentality. Something. Yes, I'll be your ghostwriter. You and secret boyfriend need children's collection too. My sister and I do have a kid's book that we have been meaning to write that we keep forgetting to like actually do, but we need an illustrator. Secret fiance does not want to be an illustrator for a whole book. He does not have time for that, unfortunately, but my sister and I came up, it might be too late now. I don't know. I know, I wish I knew how to get it up on Amazon, Becca. If it was even half as good as Secret Fiance, I would do it. Yeah. If I was even half as good as Secret Fiance, I would do it. I can color in the lines if someone else does all the other work. Same. That's about all I can do. If someone does the line work, I'll color it in. Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, so let's get to reading because today is my aunt's birthday party, so I'm gonna have to do that. But anyway, Paris Hilton. Chapter 16. I ended up with a cameo in Zoolander, Ben Stiller's male model movie, along with David Bowie, Cuba Gooding Jr., Natalie Portman, Fabio, Lenny Kravitz, Sting, Gwen Stefani, Winona Ryder, Little Kim, and Lance Bass. Oh, Ben Stiller. It was a quick scene, but I was thrilled to be a part of it, and I had dialogue with Ben himself. Me. Hey, Derek, you rule. Ben. Thanks, Paris. I appreciate it. When they talked about all the fun Zoolander cameos in the press, they referred to me as style icon Paris Hilton, probably because they didn't know what else to call me, and I liked the sound of that. In February 2001, I turned 20, happy to leave the dumpster fire of my teens behind. Nikki graduated from Sacred Heart School, and we celebrated with a big party at the Bryant Park Hotel. Mom and Dad were so proud of the fabulous young woman she'd become, and I was overjoyed that Nikki was free and available for adventure. Now she could come and go between New York and LA and London and Paris and Tokyo to walk runways, go to parties and premieres, and just hang out with me and my friends. I started dating Jason Shaw, who was really the perfect boyfriend. If I could have been the perfect girlfriend, maybe we'd still be a thing. I saw him first on the curb in front of the Four Seasons in LA, waiting for valet parking, and recognized him from the towering Tommy Hilfiger billboard that featured him stretched out in his underwear like a 10 stories tall in Times Square. He was with Mark Mandalou, and they looked like a couple of Greek gods out for a stroll. Jason never intended to be an underwear model. He wasn't the Zoolander stereotype. Key to his unique look was his rare authenticity. He was a lovely, down-to-earth guy from Chicago. He had a degree in history, and according to legend, a scout spotted him, signed him to a huge agency, and like 10 seconds later, Tommy Hilfiger offered him a kind of crazy multi-year deal that we all dream of. Whenever my schedule allows, I went with him to shoots in Amsterdam, Milan, and anywhere else Hilfiger was sending him. Jason bought a house on Kings Road where we could live together, but we were never home for long. During the aughts, I was in the air and on the road 150 to 200 days per year. Between 2010 and 2020, that ramped up to 250 days a year. In spring of 2002, I celebrated my 21st birthday with that epic skydive and the global birthday rager. Jason gave me a silver Porsche, dream car, dream guy. I got to see all the people I love and thousands of people who loved me, and I looked amazing. Graham Cracker died a few weeks after my birthday. We knew for a long time that it was coming, but it felt like a body slam. Mom, Kim, and Kyle were all with her at the end, and Mom told me that they were holding her hands and crying when she died. And suddenly they heard the cupboard door banging and slamming shut, and they ran to the kitchen, and there were no one there. The hospice nurse said she was just saying goodbye. Hearing that comforted me. I liked the idea of Graham Cracker's spirit and my own spirit someday moving through the room like a windstorm on the way to heaven. I believe in God, and I hope that heaven means that we'll all be the best versions of ourselves, but death scares me. It's my only real fear. Mom took it so hard, and I didn't know how to help her. She did all the things you're supposed to do when someone dies, all the business, the details. Mom is incredibly strong on the outside, but she feels things deeply. The loss of her mom and the loss of Nanu 2 years later was brutal. My mom's defining character trait is joie de vivre. She's joyful, like full of joy, so it scared me to see her so sad. I hate to admit it, but maybe this was the first time I was sensitive to her feelings as I was to my own. For me, it was strange to think of Graham Cracker as gone because I felt closer to her than ever. She was with me. Hummingbirds came and went just like she said they would. The general hum of energy and light carried me through acting classes and auditions, both of which I hate. I get so insecure and I hate feeling judged. I just want to work. Summer came and so many good things were happening. Tinkerbell, what a gift when she came into my life. I did a horror flick called 9 Lives and an artsy short called QIK2JDG, and had a fun bit part in Wonderland, which starred Val Kilmer, Lisa Kudrow, Carrie Fisher, and Christina Applegate. And I did a cute cameo in a rave scene with Mike Myers in The Cat in the Hat. I met with producers at Fox who pitched me an idea for a show that crossed the streams between fiction and reality, a mashup of a scripted fish-out-of-water sitcom like Green Acres, Papa's ex-step-aunt-in-law Eva Gabor, and a documentary-style reality series with the added twist of a couple of episodic challenges. There had never been a show like this before, and there hasn't been one since. Right? It was very difficult. The Simple Life was a reality TV groundbreaker that no one, including me, has ever been able to repeat. I was instantly on board. Producers initially wanted it to be the Hilton sisters, and I begged Nikki to do it with me, but Mom and Dad were not in favor. Too many unknowns, too many people, too close to home. Don't be insane, Nikki said. You'll embarrass yourself. Not if it's funny. I don't want to be funny, she said. I want to be classy. And if their intention is for us to look classy, then the show would be about us living our lives as runway models in New York Fashion Week. This is not that. She had a point. That theme song kind of says it all. Let's take 2 girls, both filthy rich, from the bright lights into the sticks. There was no doubt how it was supposed to play out. They're both spoiled rotten. Will they cry when they hit bottom? Notice it says when, not if they hit bottom. People expected this to be about two unrelatable bitches who get their place put in their place by real people. It was huge potential for humiliation, and I needed to partner with someone who had no fear of looking silly, no fear of being silly, a brazen prank caller who knew how to party and was willing to lean into the ridiculous. The show would not have been what it was with anyone other than Nicole Richie. I didn't have to beg. She was there from hello, 10,000%. The tight production schedule started in May 2003, and we worked 16-hour days through the oppressive heat of Arkansas's summer. We were given broad direction for building our characters, Nicole as the sassy troublemaker, and me as the beautiful airhead, going for a Lucy and Ethel 2.0 dynamic. We had no clue how any of these crazy scenarios would play out. All we knew is that whatever happened, we were supposed to make it hilarious. I think a lot of people assumed Nicole and I would look down on this royal family and act like bratty princesses, and then they'd get to put us in our place. Again, I was the beautiful ditz and Nicole was the troublemaker. Tale as old as time. But we were living in the shiny new millennium, and that storyline didn't work for us. We wanted to tell the story about girls who got into the world full game on and conquer every obstacle in a completely creative and gutsy way. We had to dance along a very fine line, irreverent but respectful, sexy but approachable, bold but not bitchy. We had to slay the daily challenge by flipping the script in some funny way and make something good come out of all of it. We didn't overthink it at the time, but looking back, I do hope the takeaway is the future belongs to girls who refuse to do as they're told. Girl power doesn't come from being rich or beautiful. It's a combination of courage, kindness, and laughter. The first season was shot on location at Altus, a small town in Arkansas. The production budget was not huge by Hollywood standards, but it meant a lot to this community. They welcomed us with open arms and went along with our shenanigans. The mischief was never meant to be mean-spirited or disrespectful. Everyone in town knew us, and they wanted to be a part of it. Really? I know that's so funny. I never would have thought of that. We loved the Letting family. They were the kind of family Conrad Hilton aspired to and never had. The family my parents tried to force into existence until it blew up in their faces. The Lettings reminded me of the Carter's Salt to Earth Midwestern family, which is the kind of family Carter and I are hoping to raise. Their multi-generational home was filled with functional love and support. I grew especially close to Curly, the grandmother, who was strong and fearless, like Graham Cracker, and to Braxton, the toddler who instantly fell in love with Tinkerbell. I don't think it's a coincidence that the producers put us in a house with two teenage boys, Justin and Kane. Our mission was to tease and torment them, but we adopted them as our little brothers instead. The director had Nicole and me flirt and make out with a couple of local boys named Anthony and Chops, who we were supposedly dating. Nicole and I were both in relationships in real life. Randomly, I ran into Chops a few years ago at Netflix, where he's now the financial executive. Apparently, he took to show business better than we took to cattle insemination. Bunking together, slumber-style party in the Ledwig's enclosed porch, Nicole and I laid there at night, cracking each other up at coordinating our outfits for the following day. Every morning, our 13-year-old selves came out to play. We had a crazy amount of fun and laughed until we cried, but I won't lie. At the end of the shooting schedule, 18 weeks of 18-hour days, we were both beyond exhausted. It was so unbearably hot in Atlas. At some point during the dog days of August, I called my mom, crying, trying to cover the phone with my hand, saying, "I hate it here." "Only 3 more days," Mom said. "You can do this, honey." And then she sent a private jet loaded with food from Mr. Chow's, a vivid demonstration of both the love and the privilege of love. Ooh, that's interesting. The love of privilege and the privilege of love. The big movies that summer were Finding Nemo and The Matrix Reloaded. 6 months before the debut of The Simple Life, the biggest shows on TV were CSI, Friends, and Joe Millionaire. We didn't yet know who we'd be competing with or following. Obviously, a time slot following Joe Millionaire would be perfect, so we were praying for that. While the first season of The Simple Life was in post-production, Friendster and MySpace launched. Social media wasn't a huge thing, but it was starting to be a thing, and I was interested. Here was a space where you could connect with Rupert Murdoch, username Dirty Digger, or a friend from first grade. You could launch your homemade music in the same space where 9 Inch Nails were launching their new album. You could reinvent yourself and amplify whatever you were up to, which was incredibly exciting for those of us at The Simple Life as the rollout took shape. The show started to get a ton of press, and Nicole and I were working it, showing up, doing interviews. I was out clubbing almost every night, posing for the paparazzi, talking to everyone about this crazy, wonderful show about to come out, promising everyone that they would be blown away. I shuttled between New York and LA, working the red carpet at premieres and award shows, and wherever I went, the growing army of paparazzi followed. I was having a wild child moment, and it was sort of glorious. I loved Jason, and we talked about spending the rest of our lives together, but I knew I wasn't in the right place to make that kind of commitment. It had nothing to do with him. He was good, a really good guy. I didn't understand it at the time, and I can't explain it now, but I just wasn't capable of being honest or loyal or whole. I was damaged in ways I couldn't tell him about, and the fact that I never confided in him about my past says it all, doesn't it? Secrets are corrosive. Secrets destroy anything that you try to layer on them. It's like using concealer to cover a black eye. You can hide it, but that's not the same as healing. When I realized I was pregnant, it was like walking out on the ledge of a 40th floor window. I was terrified and heartsick. My hormones sent my ADHD symptoms spiraling, and I felt paralyzed by anxiety that took root in my body and grew like poison ivy. Everything I knew about myself was at war with everything I'd been raised to believe about abortion. No one can ever know how hard it is to face the impossible choice unless she's faced it herself. It's an intensely private agony that's impossible to explain. The only reason I'm talking about it now is that so many women are facing it, and I don't want them to feel alone or judged or abandoned. I want them to know that they're not alone and they don't owe anyone an explanation. When there's no right way, all that's left is what is. You know what you have to do, and you do it, even though it breaks your heart. Over the years, I've looked back on this with sorrow, even though I know I made the right choice. In my loneliest moments, I romanticize the entire time and torture myself with melodramatic thoughts like, what if I killed my Paris? What if Jason was the one who got away? But the fact is, there was no happy little family at stake. That was not going to happen. Trying to continue that pregnancy with the physical and emotional issues I was dealing with at the time would have been a train wreck for everyone involved. At that moment in my life, I was in no way capable of being a mother. Denying that would have jeopardized the family I hope to have in the future at a time when I was healthy and healed. Facing that reality forced me to face the truth about how wrong it would have been to stay in this relationship. I hate that I broke Jason's heart. I broke my own heart, but I know we did the right thing, which is almost never the easiest thing. I will always love Jason, but we tried dating again for a short time in 2010 and it didn't work. I was traveling 8 months out of the year and he wasn't one of those losers who was eager to follow me around. It was weirdly comforting to know for sure that we absolutely were not meant to be forever. Until I met Carter, I wasn't totally convinced that forever was the thing for me. I spent a few days crying and then I went back to work. I didn't know how else to get through it. When I signed with a manager, for real, Jason Moore, he didn't flinch when I told him what I wanted to accomplish. Household name, high-end endorsements, solid movie roles, Marilyn Monroe cachet. He liked the way that I talked about me and my career. I liked the way that he talked about me and my career as a work of art. When a deal was in development, he'd say the painting isn't finished or it's just a sketch. When people started saying that I was famous for being famous, he told CNN when all the artists were doing what we now call impressionism, critics couldn't name it at the time, so they just said squiggly painting or crazy artist. That's what famous for being famous sounds like to me. People not being able to define what a movement is. Ain't that something? JM and I started out great, but ended up at war after I found that Facebook had come to him with an offer wanting me to be the first celebrity to open the platform, and he effing turned it down. He said, Paris Hilton is so big, we're gonna do our own Facebook. Stuff like that is why we need the facepalm emoji. There are just no words. I was in Australia when he called to tell me in a 37-second video, I was in Australia when he called to tell me that a 37-second video clip of me having blank circulated on the internet. My first reaction was, what? No, I never did anything like that. I thought someone was making a fake video or something, and it took me a minute to make the connection to that private video. I had to close my eyes and breathe. I felt like I was going to throw up. It was inconceivable to me. There was no reason to think a random guy that you meet in a bar could be that rotten or that smart. Within hours, the news of the tape was everywhere, along with rumors that there was a full-length production pending release. Everything I'd been working so hard for, I felt it all crumbling. I called him and begged him, please, please, please don't do this. He sounded distant and cool, saying it was too late and it was already out there. He said he had every right to sell something that belonged to him, something that had a lot of financial value. More than my privacy, obviously, my dignity, my future. Shame, loss, stark terror swept over me. I hung up the phone trying to think of what I should do next. I have to tell the producers of the show, and worse than that, I would have to tell my parents. I couldn't even wrap my head around it. At first, all I could do was cry and cry, wrenching, raw, chest-deep sobs. I felt like my life was over, and in many ways it was. Certainly the career that I had envisioned was no longer possible. Everything I wanted my brand to be, the trust and respect I was trying to rebuild with my parents, the sliver of self-worth that I'd been able to recover, that was all instantly in ruins. With my work on The Simple Life and the success of my new business, I'd cultivated an inner core of security and strength, and suddenly I couldn't feel it anymore. I felt that old weight returning to my posture. I got on a flight back to the US, trying to hide behind my sunglasses, but the lady sitting next to me could tell that I was crying. "Are you okay?" she asked. I shook my head. Over the course of the 14-hour flight, she was incredibly kind, and I eventually opened up and told her what was happening. The next day, there was a picture of me on the cover of Us Weekly with the headline, "Paris Hilton exclusive, my side of the story," or something like that. My mom was livid. "Why would you do an interview before I had the chance to process this?" "I didn't," I kept insisting. And then I remembered the lady on the plane. She must have recorded the whole conversation. I don't know who placed her in that seat next to me, but I imagine their kid went to a very nice, expensive college. The 37-second clip provided proof of concept, I guess, a teaser to show how big of a deal this was going to be, how much buzz it would create, and how much people would pay to see it. I imagine that someone would need that in order to set up financing for production and distribution, and if that was the intention, it worked. It was a very big deal. That was immediately obvious. Buzz was off the chain because comedy gold. It was too easy. The potential for blonde jokes, the opportunity for self-righteousness, the degradation of someone living a posh life. It was like the X-rated version of America's Funniest Home Videos. When the fullest version of the tape was released, the initial price point was around $50, which must have made a massive profit margin because no one had to invest a dime in marketing. Late-night comedians, bloggers, and tabloid editors provided that for free. The tape was everywhere, and everyone was talking about it, shaking their heads and saying I had no decency. Funny, no one mentioned the decency of the people who watched creepy videos like that of teenage girls. One morning, I stepped into a neighborhood newsstand on Sunset Boulevard, a place where I went for coffee and magazines on a regular basis, and there was a huge display. Yes, we have the Paris Hilton tape. The owner seemed baffled when I ripped the poster down and threw it in his face. He couldn't understand why I was crying. "What's wrong with you?" I screamed. "You're not a porn shop. You're a family newsstand. My little brother's coming here to get ice cream." The impact the tape had on my career is impossible to quantify. The absolute worst aspect of this horror show was the impact on my family. My mom just crumpled into bed and stayed there. My dad, red-faced and furious, worked the phones, calling lawyers, calling spin doctors, trying to help me marshal any hope of damage control. The knee-jerk reaction was to summon a pack of rabid lawyers, but the consensus was that the lawsuit would only bring more attention. Mom's standard advice was don't give it oxygen, and that made sense to me. It often does in a world where tearing down is so much easier than building up. My parents were still living at the Waldorf, and that newspaper stand was left outside. The newspaper was left outside the door of every room first thing in the morning. Nikki got up early and ran down the hall, turning all the papers face down so Mom and Dad and the boys wouldn't have to see the headline and feel like they were walking the gauntlet. Baron and Conrad were plenty old enough to understand what it all meant. They were so weirded out that they could hardly look at me. During the previous 3 years from the time I got out of Provo, I've been trying hard to rebuild relationships with my siblings and mend the shattered bond between me and my parents, but now we were all back to zero, left of zero, worse than zero. I didn't know at first if Fox would even go ahead with The Simple Life. All the positive energy and amazing buzz that the team had worked so hard to build, everything about the show was dwarfed by the scandal. I couldn't even face the cameras. I stayed hidden for several weeks, turning down every opportunity, interviews, club appearances, runways, magazine covers, sacrificing all the income that I normally would have brought in. If Nicole or anyone else went out to continue the launch effort, questions about the tape dominated the conversation. On December 2nd, 2003, The Simple Life debuted on Fox with 13 million viewers and an astounding 79% of the adult audience. The reviews were moonshot awesome, and the team decided it was time for me to step out of the shadows and address the scandal in some way. There were a lot of options. Every show wanted me to come on and be interviewed, but the one that made the most sense to offer to play myself in a segment with Jimmy Fallon on Saturday Night Live's Weekend Update. It was a risk, but the script was brilliant. Jimmy was pitch perfect, and the sketch lives on as one of the greatest moments in SNL history. Scene. Jimmy: as we agreed, we won't be discussing the scandal that's been in the paper the last few weeks. Me: thank you, Jimmy. I appreciate that. Jimmy: so your family, I don't know if people know, they own hotels all over the world, right? Me: yes, they're in London, in New York, Paris. Jimmy: wait, so there's actually a Paris Hilton? Me: yes, there is. Jimmy: is it hard to get into the Paris Hilton? Me: actually, it's a very exclusive hotel, no matter what you've heard. Jimmy: I've heard that the Paris Hilton is very beautiful. Me: I'm glad that you've heard that. Jimmy: do they allow double occupancy at the Paris Hilton? Me: no. Jimmy: is the Paris Hilton roomy? Me: it might be for you, but most people find it very comfortable. Jimmy: I'm a VIP. I might need to go in the back entrance. Me: it doesn't matter how you are. Not gonna happen. Like I said, it was comedy gold, and I made a lasting friend. Jimmy Fallon was so cool and kind. This was another moment when I needed to be reminded that kindness exists, and he was there for it. When he calls me to come on his show now, I'm there. The second episode of The Simple Life surpassed the series, but with 13.3 million viewers. The show was a massive hit, a whole new reality television marketplace, and stands as comedy classic. I promise you, someone is streaming it somewhere right now, and I hope they laugh until their ribs ache. I'm deeply grateful for the Letting family and incredibly proud of Nicole and me and the whole crew who worked so hard on that first groundbreaking season. I know in my heart that the success we earned was despite the tape, not because of it, but some cynical people will always claim that we didn't do it organically. I wish we would have had the chance to find out. It makes me want to vomit when people suggest that I was in on the release of that footage on the internet or involved in the video that was later released in a stunning fit of bad taste dedicated to the memory of the victims of 9/11. WTF. The release of that private footage devastated me, both personally and professionally. It followed me to every audition and business meeting for years, and even now, in a corporate world dominated by men, I look around a conference table knowing that most of the people sitting there have seen me naked in the most degrading way imaginable. No matter what I do, despite everything I've accomplished in the past 2 decades, 90% of the articles written about me see fit to mention it. It wouldn't matter if I solved climate change by inventing a Fanta-powered bullet train. The headline would still be, "Planet Saved by Paris Hilton, who did a tape when she was 19. The release of that video cost me an insane amount of money, and more importantly, it devastated my family. It will never go away. It's out there waiting for my children, who will be confronted with it someday. I think some people want to believe I was involved in the release of the tape or that I benefited in some way because it's unpleasant for them to think about the cruelty and complicity of their own response. Please hear me when I say this. I would never, under any circumstance, be involved in the production of an amateur teen blank video. If I had been involved, this one would have had better lighting, it would have had proper hair and makeup and wardrobe, the camera angles and editing would have been more flattering, it would have been packaged not in a sleazy low-budget garage piece, and it wouldn't have had the poor taste to dedicate a blank flick to the victims of a terrorist attack. Seriously, what the F does that even actually mean? Most importantly, if this would have been something I had chosen to do, I would have owned it. I would have stood tall in my Louboutins and said, yep, this is my choice. And anyone who wants to judge me can pound sand. I would have stood by it and capitalized on it and licensed the crap out of every frame and then boogied on over to the bank without apologizing to anyone. I'm not saying to judge anyone who does that. I'm saying the choice was taken from me, and that hurt. It makes me angry to think about how many girls are exploited because of family toothless laws pertaining to revenge blank and other unauthorized use of private images. If I were to take photos of a teenage boy and slap it on an inflatable hemorrhoid ring and sell it for $50, you know what that would be? Illegal. How is it that the law allows me to trademark and protect the word sliving, but it refuses to protect a woman's right to control images of herself? Not long ago, I was in my hotel suite in Washington, D.C., getting ready to do a press conference and meet with legislators about federalization of laws guaranteeing oversight and regulation in the troubled teen industry. I looked in the mirror, inspecting the sleek line of my black business suit, trying to decide if the modest scoop neck was better than the alternative look with a high neck and silk bow. Not as comfortable, but it left no skin showing below my chin. Seriously, yeah. Carter, babe, what do you think? I present myself with a scoop neck and then held out the second one in front of it. This or this? He kissed me on the forehead because my lips were freshly glossed. He said, "You look great, and we need to go." "I'll take this with me." I stuffed the high neck blouse into my bag, just in case someone screams the W word. W-H-O-R-E. I don't want to say it in here in case they flag me. Because this is something I've had to think about every day since that tape was released. People screaming W at me. And that's a thing. I have to anticipate and steel myself against it. And I resent every particle of energy that strains from my emotional life force. I can't even let myself think about what I could have been if I hadn't participated in something I knew was a bad idea at the moment when I was so vulnerable, working so hard to put my life back together. It destroyed a huge sector of my business before I even had a chance to build it. No matter where I went or what I did after that, I carried that scar. My friends and family celebrated the premiere of The Simple Life with a party at Bliss, a hip new restaurant on La Cienega. The paparazzi swarmed the street outside, and when the limo pulled up, I sat back in the seat with my heart hammering, knowing what everyone was talking about, not knowing what to say. I turned to my dad and said, "How do I look?" "Like 1 in a million," he said, gripping my hand. Instead of a cute little dress designed for the big occasion, I opted to wear a sleek pink tuxedo, and that choice holds up in history. A lot went into that look. Check it out. It reads as classy, proud, strong, the pink satin manifestation of sorry, not sorry. The door opened, flashing lights shouting poured in. There was nothing defensive about Dad's stance as he walked into the restaurant. His posture was proud, and he was smiling ear to ear. Remember that sound cameras used to make? The click of the shutter, followed by the whirring advance of the film through that little drum? That click whir, click whir, click whir in rapid succession? Multiply that 10,000 times 10,000 times 10. It was like music to me back then, and I kind of miss it now. Digital cameras capture images silently and sterile most of the time. That visceral gotcha noise is optional. Back then, it was ubiquitous. Isn't that a great word? Ubiquitous. All over everything, like hollandaise sauce. Sometimes, when I'd be in bed after a long night, I could hear that sound along with the blood rushing in my head. Gotcha, 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 gotcha. My first step back onto the red carpet was at the 2004 Grammys. Paris, Paris, look left. Paris, over here. What do you have to say about the tape? Wait, Paris, we just want to talk to you. Over here, Paris. Gotcha, 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 gotcha. Janet Jackson was scheduled to perform with Luther Vandross that night, but a week earlier, the infamous Super Bowl halftime wardrobe malfunction happened, so CBS/Viacom told her that she was blacklisted and no longer invited to be a part of the show. To his credit, during his acceptance speech of his multiple Grammy Awards, Justin Timberlake did apologize for exposing Janet's blank. So that's not ironic or anything. Look, I'm not asking anyone to feel sorry for me. I took full responsibility for the public and private choices that I've made, and I'm not going to apologize for any of it. I'm just saying there's plenty of shame to go around, and girls have traditionally dealt with more than our fair share. And we're over it. I know I am. I think Britt, Lindsay, Shannon, and a whole lot of other women would probably agree. Girl shaming as a sport and an industry needs to be over. People say I invented the selfie, but that's not true. The Grand Duchess Anastasia took pictures of herself 100 years ago, and 100 years before cameras were a thing, artists were painting self-portraits. What I did as an influencer was strap a jetpack on the back of that idea that I, the person in the photograph, deserved to benefit from the image more than the people who create and sell images of me without my consent. Since women like me and Kim made Instagram our blank, the kind of paparazzi insanity that killed Princess Diana has all but disappeared. It will never be that way again. There's still a market for candid pictures of celebrities, especially if the celebs look embarrassingly fat, skinny, ugly, drunk, or compromised in some way. So the paps are still out there, but it's nothing like it was like in 2003 when the streets outside of a club sometimes devolved to hardcore hand-to-hand combat with people fighting each other to get photos that sold for 7 figures. Ultimately, it's about supply and demand. The demand is what it was. You can trace it back to Helen of Troy, but now the supply is up to me. The rise of selfie culture isn't about vanity. It's about women taking back control of our images, our self-images. I don't think it's a bad thing. Discuss amongst yourselves. Man, oh man. She's killing the game. She's killing the game. I'm impressed after every chapter. She is the game. You're right. You're right. But like, I never think that I'm going to continue to be so impressed every time. It just gets better and better and better. Oh no, Amy, I'm so sorry. I really need to get the downloaded today. I've been having trouble downloading the lives because of all the issues. Yeah, I need to upload those. Like, because of all the flagging and stuff, it makes it harder to download them, which has been a problem, which is why, like, I really need, like, what we need to do, like, I have to figure out some way to get the 1,000 followers on the book account so we can do book club on the book account and slime lives over here so that they don't, like, I don't know, like, it keeps getting flagged, you know, because slime is over here, so they think this is a kid-friendly account. It's like, you know, yeah, she's incredible. Yeah. Like, it's not that I don't want to have my book stuff over here. It's like causing issues for the lives. And so that's why I'm trying to separate the book stuff from the slime stuff so that it doesn't, have issues, but you know, we'll see how that goes. Thank you, Renee. I appreciate that. Anyway, I am going to go get ready for my aunt's birthday party. The kids should be here soon. We cleaned the house so that they can play freely. Thank you, Amy. I appreciate that. What else do I have to tell you all? Nothing, I think. I should be getting the charms for the slime of the month from Shira probably on like Monday, so the slimes will go out probably Tuesday. I can't think of anything else. I think that's pretty much it. So have a great rest of your day, and I will see you on Monday for more Paris Hilton. Oh, we should be finishing this probably, let's see. We're on chapter 17, and there are 21 chapters. So we only have 4 more chapters to go. So we'll start the new book next week. Okay, guys, I'll see you later.